Good afternoon. My name is Kirsty Dignam, and I'm actually back. I'm actually back for this week's Monday's Musings. I feel a little bit excitable, a little bit ungrounded in that excitable energy, and also a little bit hopeless as well. So we've just had the new moon in Libra, and what I can really feel on the one side is great potential for change, really excitable ideas coming through, which for many are on a very higher creative level, myself included. And I can really feel that in the higher heart and in the third eye. On the other side, what I can feel is the realness of everything that's going on in the world right now, the realness of the obvious struggles that everyone has their own version of right now. And I almost feel torn between the two, and it's that's leaving me a little bit ungrounded. What I can really sense for the energy of this week is we know this anyway, but to recognise that with the highs come the lows, with the lows come the highs, that the shadow is the light, that the light is the shadow, to really bring them together. And we know this, but it feels more, my eyes are almost clouding over. It feels more about how we view things, coming into clearer, sharper focus this week. Now, I could quite easily right now chuck in things about seeing old stories, about looking at our old wounds, our old shadows, but that almost feels like it's what's detaching us from the focus of what's trying to come through. My ear's going, my jaw's going. Interesting analogy. So my ear is going and my jaw is going, and what I can really sense there is you can't listen and talk at the same time. You can't be heard and hear at the same time. So really taking stock of that this week before pausing to speak, listening to what it is we want to say and the intention behind it. Very, very unlike me to leave pauses and gaps in between for those that watch regular videos. And there's several reasons behind that. One, I've just finished journeying with the Magician, and I'm slowly moving on to the High Priestess, and I can really feel that energy. But collectively, it feels as if space has been made for other alternatives to come through. And what I'm actually seeing is that within mainstream medicine as well, for alternative medicine to maybe take a rise this week in particular. So those offering services, get grounded, self-care. I'm actually offering a regular healer's share. What I find in my own practice is that a lot of people that come to me offer so much for others in regards to healing, and generally either through lack of resources or time or making space. Generally, these individuals do not take care of their self, and it really feels key this week to make that time, to make that space, to ensure that you are a solid, firm foundation and can give from this space, rather than burnout, rather than wearing ourselves thin. So I'm offering a regular healer's share where people can do that, where we swap skills and trades. So you can find all details of that on the website. Now, what else is there? Well, my eyes are being drawn to an incredible painting that I have of the ancestors' bones held within a nest where there is a newborn bird and crows flying around it with a full moon in the background. And I don't know about anyone else, but I can really feel the veil of Halloween, of Samhain, of our ancestors really coming through this month, even before we've gone into October. But from now until the full moon, which I think We've just had a new moon, so yeah, halfway through, whenever the full moon is, and that feels key. Whenever you feel full, whenever it feels like it's a great potential to create something new. This month in particular, and as we lead into October, it's about really trusting our own internal cycles. Knowing the time to pause, knowing the time to act this week. And what I can sense is almost like the energy for the whole year trying to come in, like a culmination of everything we've discovered, trying to help us through these last few contractions, these last few stages of labour, through these can't find my teeth today, last few months before we go into 2023. Now, the number 23 is significant for change, and it is about going from that high priestess reflective energy into the empress now. What have we gained? What are we about to create and deliver? And we're doing that within a 7 year. So we are talking about endurances, we are talking about the chariot, and we are talking about the tower here. So what shifts have come, what changes have come that may not quite have been what we would have expected for ourselves and the collective? What necessary shifts have come and are coming to ensure we can maintain, we can sustain, and we can grow? Okay, so with that in mind, I am going to look at the energies this week, and I'm going to do it with, wow, I don't know the cards that are in here actually. There's a set of cards in here. And the first thing that went through my mind when I picked them up, when I didn't know which ones to work with this week, was I may not know what they mean. I know I have a couple of sets that do not follow the normal numerical order of the tarot, and that do not have the usual familiar symbolism. Now that intrigued me. As soon as I picked it up, the uncertainty of not knowing what something means intrigues me. I'm a Leo, right? Curiosity and the cat and all that kind of thing. But there is a little bit of nervousness there. There is a little bit of apprehension there. And it's that I feel is the underlying balance this week. Because we may not understand something, because something may make us feel a bit, doesn't mean we should avoid it. Doesn't mean, it's not for us. If we want new, being open to those new things this week in particular, trying something different. What I did also find when I picked these up, they've got a picture of the sun on and they're blue, right? So communication of the light. And that's going to come through differently for people. So for myself, I'm creating things, fingers crossed, that I never would have thought I would create. And that ability to communicate with the light, with source, with creation itself is going to be different for a lot of us over the next few months. For some, it may even help build a career in certain areas such as art and dance and presence on the screen. It's just come through. Okay, so the other thing I noticed when I picked these up was Ask and It Is Given. The book Ask and It Is Given, and it's by Esther and Jerry Hicks. Now, I haven't actually read it. There's a lot of things on my bookshelf I tend to just open and look at what I need to look at, and I must find time to read. But what I'm hearing is finding time to read into something first and foremost before we take on the opinion of others, because let's face it, that's what books are, that's what tarot decks are. They are someone else's interpretation of a universal language. And before we take that on board ourselves, how always does that resonate with me? Reading into that this week, pausing, taking stock, this video included, as always. So let's see. Oh, the other deck I'm going to use are the Earth. The Earth Warriors Oracle. Okay, so there's a real message there about being grounded in our place here as warriors of the earth, but also keeping it light, right? So let's see what deck these actually are. Gosh, before I'm even opening them, I feel grandmother energy. I feel really relaxed and zoned out, and yeah, just okay. So they're the mythical tarot. They're not the deck that I thought, which is really interesting. But the card at the top is the Four of Swords. So we do have that feeling of being relaxed, of zen, of that higher altitude of learning and discovery of the mind now. So, and knowing that it is the assumptions that stand in the way of that. Okay. My eyes are being drawn to a red thread on a picture in front of me, and it's coming from it's an indigenous person, and it's coming from their hair. But what I'm really feeling is the red thread, and that's the divine feminine, and it's the connection to the root chakra, the bloodline in particular this week. It's that ancestor energy again, really related to the third eye. I can really feel that, but also our connection, our hair, our link to source. Okay. Now being drawn to the moonstone that they're wearing, and again our own connection to the cycles around us. I'm smiling because one of the wolves on the picture has their tongue poking out. You know, we can get so caught up in all of the information, so caught up in everything that's going on. Sometimes it's just good to just pause and, you know. Right. Energies for this week. So I'm just waiting because there's a clear insight coming through for me there, which I can take and I can acknowledge. So collective energy this week. Pause. Know what messages are for you and what messages are about your environment and others. You know, once you've discovered what it is relevant to you, you can then see things from a more clearer perspective in regards to the collective consciousness. Energies this week and how to best navigate them. And I hear navigate them already. Yeah, Five of Pentacles. Okay, so, you know, we can want to try and figure out all the answers. We can want everything in place before we make that move. And that can almost make us feel this week that nothing is shifting. The analogy I keep getting this week is the delivering person, the person in labour that is delivering, whether that's an idea, whether that's a new life, continuously saying that they can't do it without realising that they're doing it anyway. And it's that can almost be a self-fulfilling prophecy this week, when we forget to see where we are, when we forget to see what it is we're actually doing, we can really doubt our own ability to do it. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, I do want those two for Tuesday, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Gosh, I'm running out of room. Overall, okay. So overall, we have the Moon card, and we have the triple-headed goddess here, the mother, maiden, crone, the cycles of life, birth, death, and everything in between. And the triple-headed dog here as well, I think, which is linked to Hades, if I remember rightly, in the myths. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Will that actually let that come through? Okay, so what I really sense here this week is the ability to see from all angles, to see past the illusions, and not doubt that. I wanted to almost doubt that then and say, well, on the other hand, it could be the inability to see from all angles. Don't get caught up in being able to see from all angles. Use it as a tool. Use it as something that can now take you forward by recognizing where you are in your own cycle with that. So you may be just starting out. Although I hear none of us are just starting out. It's our own perception of that. But you may be just getting into something and starting to see things for what they are. You may be old hat at it. Years down the line, I've seen X, Y, and Z. It takes a lot to surprise me type person. However, recognizing that even if you feel you know it all, there's always something new to come through once we can get over the idea that we believe we know it all. So one of the biggest mistakes, and it was a mistake, I would often see midwives, healthcare professionals, etc. doing, is to believe that they knew where someone was in their creative process. They knew. They would say, you're not about to deliver yet, or you're first time mum, or da-da-da-da-da. This week, let go of any of those assumptions now. Get out of your own way, our own way, collectively and individually. We may feel like we have seen it all. I hear the song "You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet." And just being really, really open to that. We are being guided by the three-headed dog of, I want to say Hades, and because I want to say Hades, that would, to me, would suggest the underworld. We're coming into October, right? To me, that would suggest the underbelly, the going right into the shadow here in order to bring forward necessary endings, necessary deaths, if you will, of what is occurring, because underneath all of that in the reflection is light. There's light above, there's light below. I'm going to let you focus. Yeah, there's light all around. It's down to us to see all angles and to see the light from all angles as well. So on the Monday we have the Queen of Cups, and here we can see, well, for me personally, this is as I move into the energy of the High Priestess, but we've just got over the Libra new moon, which was, I don't know about anyone else, quite a shocker for me, quite a cutting through the wheat and the chaff. And now it's like, now that's done, taking a seat back and preparing just to let it all go naturally now. Awareness is key, and once we have awareness, everything flows. Is that going to focus? If I bring it back, take it in. There we are. Taking that time, really taking that time to bring things back, to pause, to step back, to then bring it closer. So on the Tuesday, we have the Eight of Wands, which is beautiful, fast movement. And even though it's a fire card, it is emotional movement here. It is spiritual. What I see is fire and water together. Bearing in mind that can result in steam, so taking some time out here for our own emotional intelligence with the dolphins, right? Emotional intelligence here, what is your body suggesting that you do? Because the other card I wanted to pick for the Seven of Swords, and I know in my core it wasn't necessary, it was coming out, I didn't have to take it, but I decided to pick it, was the Seven of Swords. So on the Tuesday, I was going to say Wednesday, on the Tuesday, looking at where you may be seeing an illusion in something by choice, and whether or not that illusion is actually there, or whether it fits your own emotional intelligence, whether it fits what it is you are feeling. You know, sometimes we can see things in a certain way to mold our feelings, to acknowledge, to confirm our feelings, when it may not always be that the case. Particularly with things like the tarot cards, or I was talking to my husband the other day about mediumship, and when someone confirms something that you said, you know, in the early days for me that would be quite essential, because A, it would give me confidence to continue with the message, and then secondly, or B, I would feel something, for argument's sake, chest pain, and I would share that in relation to the message coming through. It was acknowledged, and the pain would then go. I would know that it wasn't mine. However, Tuesday in particular, I keep going to Wednesday, Tuesday in particular, do we really need those confirmations to see what's going on, or are we using them to fit and mold and explain our circumstances, excuse our behaviour? Okay, so now we can go on to Wednesday. So on the Wednesday, it's the Knight of Swords, and normally in the tarot this would be one individual riding forward on a horse. In this particular deck, it's two. What I want to say is it's a reflection as well. So when we move forward, the energy around us has the ability to do that as well. So looking at how we choose to move forward on the Wednesday, when it is Wednesday, but obviously Monday and Tuesday, and the overall theme kind of pinpoints to Wednesday in particular, and the need to move forward. In the background there is thunderous skies here, and you know, there is only the one horse, even though it has two individuals, there's only the one horse. And that storm, that build-up of energy is what's going to carry all involved forward. It may be uncomfortable, it may not feel that way, but as long as we know who's taking the lead, it could be quite a smooth transition on the Wednesday. So on the Thursday, we have the Wheel of Fortune, and in this card in particular, it is the three fates, and it is Mother, Maiden, Crone. So when we go back to the moon here with the three heads, on the Thursday, that comes more into a physical, obvious change with the mother, maiden, crone energy here. And I can really relate to that personally with my own hormonal levels and keeping that balance. But really looking at what energy you are expecting a change to come from and where that change is being initiated from. So is it because we are at an early stage of something and we want it to move forward to the next progression? Is it because we're at the end of something and we want it to reach its completion? Is it because we are slowly growing what it is we are trying to create? Recognizing, one, they're all part of the same process, but also where you actually are before you try and bring the changes in, and the energy behind the changes you're trying to bring in. So, you know, if something is coming to an end and we approach that from a maiden perspective, you know, if we approached winter from a spring perspective, we would wear shorts when it was cold and it just wouldn't tally up, right? If we approached death from, oh, we're really excited, it's a new beginning type energy, that might not quite tally up, or it might, you know, really looking at the energy needed now to create the change that you're searching for and where that is coming from. Is it because you want things to mature? Is it because you want things to be lighter? Is it because you want completion? Is it because you want to be nurtured while aspects grow? Really connecting to that this week to be able to see things from all angles and then see what it is you actually need. So on the Friday, we then have the Three of Wands, and it is that moving forward. Now here in this card, what I find intriguing is that it's one individual moving forward and the other one almost saying, do you know what, it's your turn. I can't do this anymore. You take the crown, you take the lead. I've carried this, I need you to take over. That person's hand is open, they're ready, and they're in doing so able to then give that drive and desire back to the individual that has lost their way. So when we reach that point of surrender, in particular on the Friday, when we say, I just cannot do this anymore, ensuring that we surrender and hand over our will to an energy that is going to help re-spark our ability to keep going, however that may be. Now this person in particular, I never understand why, but he only has one shoe on. And all that comes to my mind with the journey behind him is that he's had a long road. That he isn't trying to walk in this person's shoes because he's only got one himself. He knows what it's like to walk in his own shoes and to feel as if he needs more and to feel in that place of surrender. So on the Friday, seeking that forward movement through a situation that knows where you've been but doesn't try to make it about them, from a person that can see how much you have tried without interpreting it as their journey on the Friday. On the Saturday then we have the Page of Wands. So it is, you know, that person has now taken just that one wand forward and is striving forward with that into the setting sun, into the end of things. Doesn't feel like there's any more to add to that other than, I cannot do this anymore. Okay, then let me carry that for you. Let me complete this now. And in that, the new beginning comes. I almost want to change the cards around now. Okay, so I will. We'll change the cards around. And then on the Sunday, we have Eight of Pentacles. Good old-fashioned hard work, bringing it all together. You know, mastering all the skills that we have developed. And I kind of feel by the Sunday just like, oh my God, quite exhausted actually, quite running out of steam and running out of, it's always the way, right? Just when we think we're done, it's like last push, come on, last push. And that's what I really feel on the Sunday, last push. Okay, everything that you've gathered, everything that you've manifested, everything that you've managed to develop over the last probably 8 years or so, using that now for that one last push. So let's have a look overall. We have Two major arcanas, the moon and the wheel of fortune, and recognizing the cycles outside of us may not indicate or be mirrored accurately to the cycles that we now need to take forward, and being okay with that, knowing where we are in our own internal cycle in regards to the changes now available. Are we ready, and from what place do we feel ready? Then have one cup card, a Queen of Cups, well, an Ace of Cups, because there's one and she's actually holding that Ace of Cups. So allowing that nurture this week in particular to be embodied, really embodied, to not look to others to do this now, but to be sovereign in our own self-care and take time to recognize that we are our own mothers. We are the creator of ourselves. It is up to us to re-establish our own flow and to feed from that this week in particular. Our own connection to source, our own connection to the feminine, our own connection to our own cycles, our own rhythms, our own nature. We then have two sword cards, nice balanced sword cards. We have the Knight of Swords and the Seven of Swords. So in those times when we feel as if we want to charge forward, ensuring that it's coming from a less hidden agenda. That's what I hear. If you're going to move forward, do it from a less hidden agenda. And we all have secondary gains. We all have hidden agendas. You know, no matter how much we feel we may have looked at all of these, why am I doing this? What is behind it? Taking it up to the next level I was going to say this year, but this week in particular. We then have 3 wand cards. And it's the Page of Wands, the Eight of Wands, and the Three of Wands, Three of Songs, I wanted to say. 3 of Wands. So the ability to move forward this week is very fast and very rapid, provided we can say, I cannot do this anymore, and seek advice and counsel from those that recognize that, even ourselves, and rather than try and take over, take the lead, take precedence over our own journey, finding a way to move forward with support and facilitation rather than being told how to do it this week. It's going to change things. It's going to take things onto a new angle, if you will. We then have 2 Pentacle cards, the 5 of Pentacles and the 8 of Pentacles, and that's where I feel that tiredness that comes from continuously working and feeling as if we're getting nowhere. Okay, so underneath is the Hanged Man, looking at things from a completely different perspective here. This is what I love. Underneath that is the Temperance and the Queen of Pentacles. We could keep going, right? I love how the Page of Wands here shares the same, you can't see it, the same sunrise at the bottom as the Hanged Man. So what are we doing? We are moving towards a different perspective, a higher perspective here, beyond the victim mentality, beyond the belief that we haven't actually built anything, because look at what this individual has built behind him. That solid home, that gateway into abundance, it's all there. It's actually behind him now. Skills to take forward. Yeah, skills to take forward as we remember that we were the ones that created everything that we have at this moment in life. So it's that old saying, where we are now was once a dream and a wish for us, and just really recalling that, not recoiling from it, but recalling that back home, that at one point many things of our life hold the essence of what we always wanted. It's up to us now to find that different perspective behind it. Okay, so I'm going to put them to one side. Itchy eye. And I'm going to look at the Earth Warriors Oracle. These are by Lana Fairchild, and I have no idea of the meaning behind them. I love the pictures. I love the way they make me feel. I love the energy. And that really feels relevant this week. Canyini in each other we find ourselves. To try less to focus on what's behind something. Try less to focus on hidden agendas or, you know, superstitious about things, suspicious about things. That's the word I wanted to look at, suspicious about things. Looking at perhaps hidden superstitions that we may have taken forward from our ancestors this week. Really looking at how that impacts what it is we create. But ultimately, we don't need to know all the answers. How does something make us feel? That's an answer in itself. It's the original answer, right? It's the original answer. And if we can bring that intuitive, emotional intelligence back home to where it belongs, this doesn't feel safe. For whatever reason, this doesn't feel safe. And walk away from it, or this doesn't feel for me, and just not feed into it. If we could do that more, maybe, just maybe, we might suffice being in the now rather than being in a constant fight or flight, because we're not listening to our bodies. Okay, so one card for the best way to navigate the energies this week. And again, it feels so relaxed, just pausing, taking time. I can see a huge serpent in my eyes, just glorious, and following the rhythm of the serpent, you know, reflecting it back, blessings from the sun of Hanan Pacha, but reflecting back the rhythm that's in front of us in our body language, being aware of that, being aware of the body language we are asking to be reflected back to us. So we have Lolo, stand in the light, and it's actually not a serpent, but a huge butterfly, massive butterfly. I can really feel this light at the top in the third eye this week. I can really feel in the wings almost the face of the reflection that we're looking for, keeping it light, hoping that it will help us to fly forward. A result of all the changes that we've gone through, being reflected back in the very essence of who we are in our own light. So what does Alana say about Lolo? I love that, Lolo. 16. You are unique, you are divine, and a beautiful being. You stand apart from the crowd. Sometimes this evokes jealousy or desire in others who want to possess your light and beauty as their own. You need never fear another or believe that they can harm you. Allow yourself to be true to who you are. Do not try to hide your inner light and beauty. You are meant to be seen. Your soul is nurtured and protected by your love for the divine. So this card speaks about not avoiding the spotlight. So it's going back to that, being aware of new creative ways that are asking to come through now. I really feel that behind my eyes and my third eye. Do not try to hide or dull your light to appease another of your fears, Your divine light and beauty are meant to help others, and the only way that this can occur is if you allow yourself to be and express it fully. Do not shrink from your magnificence when you feel challenged. It's going back to that, having scenarios that will fit how we feel in regards to our shadows. So self-fulfilling prophecy type energy can then help us to remain small, which can feel safer, right? Instead, step up to an entirely new level of boldness. Definitely feel that this week. You have a gentle nature, but you are strong. If you have become obsessed with the beauty of power of another, it's time to come back to your own divine beauty to unearth it, explore it, express it, and let it shine. Trying to blend in will drain the energy from you. Let those who are attracted to your light adapt to your level of divine expression. You are the benchmark, and they will evolve to reach you. Just skip to page. Experiences of rejection and abandonment so that you can open to how... I've skipped something. Do you know, I've jumped forward a whole... So where did we go back to? Power of the good. I jumped back a whole card to Power of the Good, and it speaks of experiences of rejection and abandonment. Okay, so that's the healing behind this right now. You are the benchmark, and they will evolve to reach you. Okay, so Lolo means butterfly, moth and soul. It's the sunset moth of Madagascar. So they're attracted to the nectar of plants, so feeding from the sweetness of life there. Looking at whatever nurtures and nourishes you and feels good for your heart, body and soul is what protects you. So again, it's that going back to basics here, guys. Does this feel good? Then I will do more of that. Does this feel bad? Then I'm going to stay away from that. Does this resonate? How does this feel? So hold on. So I've just gone and got the door to the shopping that I ordered, and it's actually turned up earlier than expected, right as I was talking about how does something feel. How would it actually feel for what we've intended, what we've ordered, if you will, from however you want to see that, what we've been trying to manifest turned up before we were ready? How would that actually feel? How well would we flow with that this week? And that really feels like a beautiful message to end this video on. I can see that the screen keeps juddering. Really, there's a lot here about integrating energies, grounding energies, and embodying what it is we're trying to manifest, because the potential of it turning up sooner than we imagine could actually be quite a reality. So looking at what we've been preparing ourselves for over the last definitely 8 months, the first part of this year, if you will, in order to really see what it is we are going to take forward in our physical actions, being open to the fact that the door may open before then, or it could be round about the 1010 portal. That's what I'm seeing. The things that we've ordered, things that we've manifested, things that we have intended could very well turn up earlier than expected. And how would we feel about that? That could be the underlying reason behind why it may not have turned up, that we may not actually feel ready. So I nearly did another video, because obviously this one had to be stopped halfway, but there's a big emphasis on embodying the messages that are coming this week. So to talk about physically taking in what we are being given and manifesting from that space and embodying what it is we have discovered, and then deciding to change it all because it didn't feel like it was enough, there's no authenticity there for me. So this is it. This is where I'm going to end it. I'm going to pull one more card from the Earth Warriors Oracle, because it does really feel like, you can see from my hair, when something turns up that we've wanted, that we expected, that we even ordered or had part in the creation of it, when it turns up earlier than we expect, it can really leave us ungrounded and knock us for six. So now that that energy has shifted, now that that has changed, you know, my son just came down the stairs and helped me unpack the shopping, and he doesn't remember many things, selective memory, I think, like a lot of us. But one of the things he mentioned, because he has a sore throat at the moment, was a medicine I used years ago when he was younger. He can't remember what it was, and I can't remember what it was. But he said that it tasted awful. He remembers that, but he only needed a little bit of it to get better. So really, really interesting that he noticed that anything that didn't feel nice, taste nice, he didn't really need a lot of it to recognize what it was he needed in order to feel better. So with that this week, looking at things that are arriving before we had planned, acknowledging that actually we've put in the work. It's kind of like it's us that needs to see that this week. And anything that doesn't fuel that, anything that doesn't feel in alignment with that, really, as soon as you feel it, as soon as you don't like how something feels, move away from it. Now, I'm not suggesting bypassing. I'm suggesting knowing what you've learned, what you've healed, what you've discovered, and not reinitiating or pulling at old wounds. So we have Ixchel, which is medicine of the rainbow jaguar, and then we have Pono Pono, which is immeasurable power of the heart way, and we have another butterfly underneath, which is build of the light, child of the light. Interesting, I say build of the light, but it's actually child of the light. So building the child of the light that we are here. Okay, by walking the rainbow bridge, by recognizing we are the rainbow bridge, by calling in the divine goddess, mother, sister, Otorongo, walking the knife's edge, embracing our shadows for what they are. They are our protectors as well. We can look at shadows being areas to work, but sometimes if things feel off, they're off. Okay, so it's about really reconnecting to that intuition from the heart, the immeasurable power of the heart way here, the Pono. So is there anything that these cards would like to add to that? Well, what I would suggest is looking in and seeing if these messages add anything to your own insights and jotting them down, because they are always more important than anything anyone else can tell you, and that feels relevant this week. As always, trusting your own emotional intelligence, trusting your own heart, trusting your own intuition. So we're talking of transitioning from one life phase to the next, using the power of wisdom to nourish only what is worthy. Again, cannot stress this enough, guys. Going back to feeding from the amber nectar, not focusing on the things that don't feel good, looking at what we're consuming quite literally on every level. Using Jaguar medicine with perfect timing, confronting that which is unworthy of your devotion, eradicating destructive forces, our own included, remember that, and creating space for healing, relief and rebirth. The wild power of the Jaguar, the renewal promise of the rainbow and divine feminine creativity. All darkness shall be overcome. Talks about transition and being able to find a place to relax and nurture and heal that and be held in that. Okay, and then we have Pono. I've got a feeling it's to do with the prayer of forgiveness. That's what really calls me right now, the prayer of forgiveness. Immeasurable power of the heart way. The heart has the power to heal in a way that the mind cannot understand. Do not allow your mind to distract or frighten you. You are a beautiful child of the universe, that child of the light. A divine love lies within your heart. A willing heart is all you need to transform any situation that is troubling you. Recognizing this power does not evoke feelings of pressure or anxiety, but of peace and joy. Lightness of heart and relief of mind are here for you now. Okay. Yeah, it is about the Hawaiian tradition. And the prayer of forgiveness. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. Okay, so, taking the pressure off ourselves. I can talk about what would happen if things came in early. I can talk about looking at our shadow. I can talk about keeping the balance and grounded. And I can talk a great talk like all of us. And I wobble like all of us. And I fall like all of us. And there are times when I can be more compassionate with myself and forgive myself and others a lot easier than I do, because it's a journey, right? It's the 8 of Pentacles. My hands are filthy from blueberries. I just juiced up blueberries. It's the 8 of Pentacles. It's a work in progress. We are a not work in progress, love in progress. And it's about acknowledging that and holding space for that, lightening things up. If we want the light to return, it's about finding that within us first and then sharing it with everything else. So take it easy this week with your mind. Allow your heart to steer the way. It's been there, it's done it. We've walked the path. It's kind of time just to let the fruits of our labour almost fall in front of us now, and then give us chance to pick through what it is we actually want to take forward. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Take care.